I think that's us. What's up, everybody?
Guys?
It's your favorite YouTube channel, Superhero Chat.
That's right.
And you got me, Jonathan, and Lewis here. This way, not that way. And as you saw by the title, we're going to be talking about Star Trek. You're like, whoa.
The other Star series that we like.
That's right.
That's not Star Wars.
So we're going to be I don't know where Lewis is on this. We barely talked about it, but I'm a huge Star Wars fan. But I'm one of the rare Star Wars fans that love Star Trek as well. I mean, maybe there's lots of them. I just, haven't really met a lot of Star Wars fans that are, very excited about Star Trek.
Yeah, usually the fandoms are like at odds with each other.
Which I don't like that's the case.
Yeah, it's kind of like people who are like, even more decidedly Marvel or DC than you and I are.
Right.
Like, because we appreciate both.
So, but first, news and notables.
News and notables. What you got, Jonathan?
Oh man, so I saw. I don't know if I haven't seen anything official, but I guess it's going around that they're officially making an Obi-Wan Kenobi series.
Ooh.
So I've got a lot of thoughts on that, and I'm gonna save it for.
You're gonna make a video about that?
Video about that.
All right.
But I love the news. I'm very excited. Short version. I have some disappointments with that announcement. Mostly that it deserved a movie, not a series. But they got Ewan McGregor, and that's really exciting. I love the character Obi-Wan. He's one of the
Star Wars Jesus.
He's one of the best Star Wars characters out there, and I'm just really excited about that. Just really excited. Marvel's or Disney's gonna make me get that streaming service one of these days. I mean, they have the Clone Wars on there, so there's that.
That might be worth $12 a month.
But yeah, I'm excited. I'm just realizing that it looks like I've got like a black eye or something. I'm not quite sure why. But yeah.
Did you sleep recently?
Anyways.
Because I didn't sleep very long last night.
Nah. So. Anyways. That's the only news that I've heard since all the Marvel stuff dropped.
So I heard that the Joker movie, the script, a potential script from that leaked out.
Oh
yeah. All I saw was that they're seeking to make the Joker character more sympathetic. I don't know if I see that as a good thing or a bad thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I get why you would see it as a bad thing because he's a mentally disturbed individual, and we don't really want to go too far sympathy-wise and paint him in a positive light. But I mean, how are you going to make a movie about him and not cross some line in that regard?
Yeah.
So, let's see what else.
Well, I'd say real quick, just to add to that, I think that one of the things about the Joker is that he's got a million origin stories.
Right.
That's part of the charm of the character. So, if they tell this one story, like, we would just know that it's not like the official origin of Joker, but it's one of many possibilities. And so, I think it's kind of cool. We just remember that I think the Joker has gone so crazy that he doesn't even know where he came from. And so.
Well, DC doesn't know where he came from, and there's 3 of them now, right?
Well, they've never talked about that, or they haven't done anything with that. But I think it's better that we don't know where he comes from. But I think it's fun to like give different like
Interpretations.
weird origin stories, and you know, so I think that's cool. As long as we just say like there's not an official one, they're all like possibilities that are thrown out there just to keep us guessing. That's how I would kind of take it.
Yeah.
Um,
So there's the other news I've got. There's the new X-Men, House of X and Powers of X. Um, so I don't know if you guys are interested. So I really won't try to spoil anything, but what I'm reading that's coming out of these books is really interesting. I'm still not hooked to the point where I feel like I need to track the back issues down, but if you're into X-Men, you might want to.
yeah.
So. Also, the event Leviathan, right, in DC, that's progressing quite nicely. And I'm actually wondering who Leviathan is. So, it wasn't something I truly cared about when it started, but
yeah.
it seems like, it's moving toward its conclusion, and so now I'm interested. So,
yeah.
I hate the way that stuff kind of works out, but
I have little interest in that.
I just want to know who the bad guy is, or
Yeah.
not bad guy. I don't know what they're doing. As far as notables, I read this. It's Spider-Man, Hobgoblin Lives. It's a mystery, talking about the identity of the Hobgoblin. And even though I already know the story because I've read synopsises and stuff of it, I caught it at the Comic-Con for 75 cents, and it's excellent. So I've got to find the third issue that completes the story because Brandon didn't have it. Pretty sure I got that from Brandon. Yeah, so it's really good. Roger Stern is the writer, so I really shouldn't be that surprised because he wrote some excellent Avengers and Superman and Spider-Man, and yeah. So, you read anything good this week?
No, I haven't had time to read.
Okay.
I actually picked up a book to read. It was Books of Magic, and
cool.
And I realized I'd already read it. So I was like, oh, okay, well, great.
Whoops.
So I've enjoyed that series, though.
The only other thing I'd say is if you guys aren't reading Batman Last Night on Earth,
So
what's wrong with you?
What are you doing?
It's so good. Stop watching this and go read that. It's
or go watch it after, or read it after you watch this.
Oh, that's true too. You can do that. Knowing that you have our seal of approval in reading it.
There you go. All right. Well, we'll get on to the main topic. A little shorter intro today. Like I said, we're big Star Trek fans. At least that we've watched the series and love talking about them. Short version, I think the thing that makes me love Star Trek is that it really dives deep into what it means to be human. And and so for me, like each series comes at it from a different angle, as like what is humanity? What does it mean to be a human, to be a person? And so it asks a lot of these deep philosophical questions through fun stories and sci-fi, which is awesome. And each generation has a character that is either trying not to be human or trying to be human, and at least the main ones. I don't know about the newest one, Discovery, because I only watched the first episode.
We won't talk about that one.
So, spoiler, we'll say that here. We haven't watched Discovery yet. I watched the first episode or two, and it was okay. I didn't have time to watch the whole thing, But one of these days, it'll probably end up on a streaming service, and I'll binge watch it later. But you know, each series has a character that's trying to be or not to be human, and that is the question, right? To be or not to. Anyway,
That's what I was about to say. Good job.
But and so there's a lot of really great contrasts, and then as they go out and explore these unknown regions, it's really cool to see like how they differ humanity from other species, other aliens and stuff, and talk about like human nature, what it's like, what it means to be human, and I really enjoy that philosophical discovery that you get through the series. So that's why I love Star Trek. Um, so, any thoughts before we start?
Uh yeah, I don't know. Like I like what you said there, and we'll talk about characters that sort of fit that paradigm as we go. Um, dude, I mean, it was spaceships blowing up. I mean, it's like superpowered navy, right? In space,
Right.
because you've got these ships that fire up on each other. You've got the really wicked costume designs and stuff. Um, you've got the cool language aspects of like the Klingons and the Romulans and things like that. Um, I I love Q. I'll talk
I
about that.
love
It's
Q.
because he's got to be one of the greatest characters on in television history.
Yeah.
Um,
And he's a great actor. I like him on Stargate Atlantic or Stargate SG-1 as well.
um, yeah, I mean, so you just have like this brilliant mix of um, characters, which you know me, I'm a big team book guy
Yeah.
as far as comics go, and so I really love the that contrast of characters, and then of course you've got your favorite characters, and you have characters you're like, man, I wish they'd kill him already or whatever. And like you said, they did deal with philosophy and things of that nature in a way that didn't seem dumbed down and yet was totally approachable,
Yeah.
for a kid, because like um, Next Gen was what I watched as a kid because it was a kid, or I was a kid, and it was on, right, and it came on at a reasonable hour because it was in syndication, and
Right.
and so I got to watch it, and it was great. There was something about it that I don't know. I thought was really cool. You had these different looking characters and um, the different ranks and everything, and just all that interplay. I don't know. Really, I really dug that.
Yeah. I had. I think we. I was homeschooled through high school, and I think we watched Next Generation like every day because it came on like reruns,
Right.
and
Yeah.
that's pretty awesome.
I think it was on the Sci-Fi Channel.
Maybe I don't remember. I don't remember. All right, well, let's get into it. Like I said, we haven't seen Discovery, so that's not going to be on the list. But I probably, just from the couple episodes I saw, it's probably at the bottom of my list. But
It's not even on my list because I don't acknowledge anything after the 5 series that we're probably going to talk about.
So, number 5 for both of us is Enterprise. Um, so I enjoyed this series. It's very different.
Right.
It's a kind of an origin story. It starts back a lot farther back than the others. It wasn't my
Almost like a prequel, right?
Yeah, it wasn't my favorite Star Trek by any means. but it was still good in its own way. I felt like some of the characters weren't as well fleshed out. It was a shorter series though.
Right.
And I guess I felt like they didn't do get to as much exploration as I would have liked.
Right. Because that was what the series was leading to, actually getting out there, and most of their exploration came to them, right?
Uh, but yeah. So it wasn't bad. I enjoyed the series. It just didn't strike me as much as the others. It really felt like they were just redoing the original series with the same tropes that were in the original series. Um,
Except Spock's a girl in this one.
right. But you still had like it was like the early days of Vulcan and human relation, and the one Vulcan they had didn't act Vulcan-y. Like she acted way too emotional for a Vulcan.
I want to make a joke about females being emotional creatures, but I'm gonna hold back.
These are Vulcans. These are Vulcans. It shouldn't be that. So that's why it's so low on mine.
Right.
It was okay. It was okay.
I felt it was slow, in a lot of ways, and it came on the heels of, and I know there's a distance there between the end of Voyager and the start of Enterprise, but like, spoiler alert, Voyager's high on my list, and so for me, it just wasn't as action packed. It wasn't as fast paced. It wasn't as in space. Um, and the characters, while I love me some Scott Bakula, Quantum Leap was my jam back in the day. There were all these conflicting issues that kept me from getting into it like I got into the other series.
Yeah.
I think there was just other things on TV at the same time that I wanted to watch more than that. Set design, that looked good. The costumes, makeup, all that was great. The acting, from what I've heard from people who were more into that series, was very respectable. But it just, I don't know, it came at a weird time in my life where I just didn't have time for it. And with it being the prequel to the original series, I was just like, well, whatever.
Yeah. Right. I didn't feel like it really broke any new ground with the series.
Right.
They seem to do the same thing, and all the other four series were just completely different. They were doing something new. Even Next Gen, even though it was pretty much the same pattern as or same basic storyline as the original series, they were able to break a lot of new ground in the series. And the other two are just so different. Deep Space Nine is just weird, which is great. It's a good movie.
Yeah. Yes.
But yeah, so I just felt like Enterprise didn't really tell us anything new. It gave us a little bit of backstory, so that was okay. But we had already gotten a lot of backstory because of time travel and all that fun stuff. So
I have a whole. Hey man, the next time you're at Ollie's, if you don't own any Star Trek DVDs of like episodes, I got a set that's dedicated to time travel episodes for like $6. Totally worth it. I was looking because I think it's on this bookshelf over by the door, and I was hoping I could grab it, but I don't see it.
Yeah.
So I worry I'd pull everything off the shelf onto myself. So,
Well, I'm not a huge fan of time travel stories.
but these are good.
Yeah. But, I mean, most of them were good.
So.
Alright, so number 4 for me, I'd have to put Deep Space Nine.
Why?
I just love the other 3 so much.
Okay. So it's not a matter of hate; it's just a matter of love less.
Right. There's a lot of good in Voyager. What's your 4?
Original series.
Okay.
Now, if we were doing top characters, Spock would be high on my list, but and there are a lot of great characters on that show now that I think about it. But I don't know. So, like, the reason I like the OG movies better than the OG series as a whole. There are some amazing episodes, like The Trouble with Tribbles. That one stuck out to me as a kid.
Yeah.
And like you pointed out, some of the same tropes that are there show up in Next Gen, which is higher up on my list. Which it has to be, right? Since this is 4 out of 5. But no, I just like the way they did them better in Next Gen than the original series. Plus, it's from a different time period, right? Like the 60s or whatever. So as an 80s baby, the age on it showed a little bit more.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Which one did I say for 4?
Deep Space Nine.
Deep Space Nine.
I don't know how you could do that.
I guess my biggest problem, the only reason it's number 4, is because it really didn't, like, they were stuck in one place.
Fair
There's
point.
not really as much exploration. I mean, they do get into the whole wormhole thing, and there are some stuff with what is that race called?
Kardashians.
Right.
And I said Cardassians for those who heard Kardashians.
I loved all the political tension that went on there.
Who was your favorite character on Deep Space Nine?
Man, that's hard. I love so many of them. I really liked Quark was hilarious.
Yes, he's an amazing character.
I love when Worf comes on.
And O'Brien, right?
That's part of my favorite. I do like O'Brien. And I mean, Cisco is excellent. Even though I put Voyager over Deep Space Nine, I put Cisco over
Janeway.
Not because she's less good, but he's just so good.
He's amazing, yeah. I mean, from that first episode, you're just like, dude, I'm all in with you. Let's go.
But I really like the character arc of Major Kira.
Yes.
Where she has to get over her biases against the Cardassians and actually work with some of them, and I love that arc that goes with the character. But then Quark is just hilarious. I really love, especially later seasons. He just gets better and better
because he gets more of more freedom or something.
Yeah, I mean, they do get to do some of the exploration stuff with later seasons when they finally get a spaceship and go to the
Yeah.
wormhole, which is kind of weird. Some weird stuff goes on with the wormhole, but I love the political drama. I think that's just
I was going to say the
excellent.
political stuff in that was brilliant. And long form storytelling was on point with that show. Um, they kind of leaned heavy into cliffhangers, um, sort of like Next Gen did as well,
Yeah.
and really left you hanging, right? And then they had major characters dying and not coming back, and you're like, what?
Yeah.
How dare you?
So just
Which was something original series and Next Gen did not do.
But I was glad that they showed that different aspect of the Star Trek universe. Even though I enjoy the space exploration more, it
Right.
was cool to kind of follow some like a life on a station, and a lot of the drama comes with who's docking on the station,
Right.
and then like them being in like a pivotal place rather than them going around. So I thought that was really cool, and it allowed them to have an easy way to have consistent villains and develop their villains more because they were always there. Um, whereas the original two series, it's a lot hard, that you don't really see that with a lot of the characters because they go to a planet and then they go somewhere else. I mean, you always had the Klingons and the Romulans and stuff, but you really didn't get to know them as well as you got to know the Cardassians.
Right.
So, I mean, I really loved it. But again, the only reason I put it that low is because it was not in space or not traveling.
Right.
So that's my number 4.
All right. So number 3, I guess.
Number 3,
Deep Space
for
Nine.
me it's Voyager.
All right. And I don't know if we can be friends anymore. How do you have the original series above Voyager?
Man, I love the original series. It's so classic.
All right,
How do you
just
not
save your
have a
argument. But
classic up there?
I'm just letting you know I don't know how you do that because Voyager was so amazing.
I mean, it is.
Deep Space Nine. I love Cisco. I think he is. I definitely love him more than Shatner. I said it. Fight me. I don't care.
He probably is a better captain than Kirk is.
There's something about his swagger, and it's right out of the gate, right? Like, doesn't he punch Q and he's like, "I'm not Picard,"
I love that.
And you're like,
that episode was so good.
Dude, I remember like being hyped up to see that live when it came on.
Yeah.
Like I had to get special permission from my mom to see the whole episode because it was like I want to say it was a 2-hour episode,
Yeah.
and so we had rules about how long we could stay up on a school night and stuff because I want to say it was like a Monday night or whatever.
Yeah.
And she totally let me, and I was like, this is awesome. Because it was so good, man. And but Odo is my favorite.
Yeah.
Dude was like a shape changer. And as a comic book fan, I'm like sold right there. Please. And the fact that he was the security officer, constable, I believe is what they called him, right?
Yeah.
Yes. And that just I figured, well, hey, if somebody's going to get arrested, he's going to be prominently featured in this show, right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of neat to. I loved his interplay with Quark, right? Because he never trusted that guy, and or I mean, at least early on, he didn't trust him.
Right.
They developed a relationship later on, but it's really neat. The guy who played Odo, Renee French last name. Um, he went on to voice a number of characters from the Justice League cartoon show. So,
Yeah.
good peoples. And as we're going through this list, I find that I'm in love with the same trope characters. Right? So, like, Spock is my favorite from the original series. Odo here. And I'll tell you about the other ones later. But you can probably predict which ones will be my favorites based on that information.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
So Voyager, sir.
Man, I love Voyager. There's just so much good that goes on here. Now I'll say like I watched this after I watched like the whole Stargate SG-1 series and Atlantis, and so
right.
One of the draws for me watching Voyager, because when I first looked at it, I was like, I'm not really interested in that. But one of the draws is it had Robert Picardo as the Doctor, and when I found out he was like a main character, I was like, okay.
And he's amazing on this show.
He's just an amazing actor. I love to hate him in the early appearances in SG-1, and then you just grow to really love his character later on, and I was like, this dude's awesome. Like, he's just really good. And so it got me into this. I was like, okay, it was all on Netflix for a long time, so I watched through it, and man, it's just so good. Like, I like Janeway. Like, honestly, she feels like if there was a Star Wars series out there with Leia as like, in charge, like that's kind of what it would feel like.
That's good, yeah.
And so, I've always connected the two characters. So, Voyager for me is kind of like the Leia story that we never got, but in a different universe. But I love
and a more powerful ship.
Yeah. But I like Torres. I thought she was a great character, especially with Tom Paris. Really liked their two.
That pairing.
Yeah. And I thought most of what they did with Chakotay was really fun. I love the dynamic between him and Janeway. It was really good. I mean, it reminded me of what happens in Next Gen with Riker and Picard. It had a very similar vibe with them. Deep Space Nine didn't really have that to me. It didn't feel like that to me. That bond between the captain and his first. Yeah, no, I really loved it. I loved that they were kind of exploring. One of my favorites is when you get Seven of Nine shows up, and you get all the Borg, and oh, it's so good. It's so good because it kind of tied in. It one of the things I love about the Star Trek is that each generation, the villain of the former generation has been assimilated into the next gen. So the original, you have the Klingons as the villain, but then by
and the Romulans.
But the next gen, you have the Klingons. They've been assimilated into in there, and
the Federation.
Right,
yeah.
the Federation. And then you have like the Borg show up at the during Next Gen, and in Voyager you see them being assimilated, which is really cool. As they defeat their enemy, they slowly become assimilated into the community. And I think it's great.
No.
What?
No, you have individuals like Seven of Nine, but the Borg never become assimilated. They only assimilate.
Well, I think she's like the first step to where like they can save the people who have been assimilated into the Borg and
No, no.
yeah, I think so. I think so.
Picard is the first one, man.
Well, sure. But he's the first one they save, but I feel like he's a little different because he's only in there for a short period where she's lived her life pretty much.
Fair point.
And so
I'll take that.
Whereas they pull him out, and it was in a movie, it wasn't in the series.
It was in the series.
It was in the series when he got in there. I thought
it
was
the cliffhanger for season 4 into season 5, or 5 into 6. I can't remember which.
Yeah, it's been a while since I watched them all.
It freaked me out as a kid. I'll tell you that much.
But you get so much more into the Borg. I thought that was really cool. And then they had their own villain running around, so it wasn't even just the Borg. And so, really, really interesting stuff. I love Voyager. It's a great series. And of course, you can't say it without Tuvok. I love Tuvok.
Thank you. I was about to come through the computer and slap you.
And Harry Kim, great. All the characters were really good. Neelix.
I got a name drop one. Barclay.
Oh yes. Oh man. Murdoch from the A-Team.
That's right.
I love him. His appearances are great.
Speaking of the A-Team, check out this awesome gift my wife got me for my birthday. See that?
Not yet. The video's behind for some reason.
It's B.A. Baracus and the A-Team in Lego form.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
I got him jumping out of the van. So Murdoch, the Dwight Schultz.
That sounds right.
Yeah. He plays this. So let me just say this real quick, because I'm not even going to talk about him that much on Next Gen, because that's where he started. But I swear, I didn't recognize the character at first because he had been in so few episodes of Next Gen, that when he showed up on this, I'm like, is he going to blow up the ship? It's like, he's going to be this villain this whole time, and he's been waiting for the moment to just strike out at the Federation, and I'm like, what's going on? And he was just there to be a cool character, and to have that continuity from the other show. And so when they did that, I'm like, oh, okay, you can do that, I guess. So he's totally like this anti-trope type character.
Yeah.
And of course, growing up with the A-Team, I was expecting a different sort of personality.
Yeah.
And so when he didn't have it, I'm like, oh no, he must be the bad guy.
Yeah.
So.
All right.
Number 2.
Number 2.
All right. So number 2 for me is Voyager. And you mentioned my favorite character, Tuvok.
For me, it's Next Gen.
So, for the longest time, I thought Tuvok would have made the perfect John Stewart Green Lantern. After I saw the cartoon show and I heard they were talking of a live-action Justice League movie, I was petitioning for that guy to be the live-action Green Lantern, because I think he would have been amazing. As I understand it, he may be too old for that now, unless they want to do a grizzled John Stewart, which I'm just still totally cool with, because I really think he can play that character. And you mentioned so many of the other things, like you've got a little bit of the dynamic with Riker and Picard, with Chakotay and Janeway. You've got the buddy system with Harry Kim and Tom Paris.
Yeah.
You've got the love interest thing going on. You've got the redemption angle of 7 of 9. You've got the impossible odds of the Borg, which I'm just going to go ahead and gush on them because they are my favorite Star Trek villains of all time. Um,
Well, and you start off the series with two crews forming into one,
yeah,
and they have to they deal with a lot of internal stress. Whereas, like, original series, next gen, there's not like the crew is united together.
right.
There's nothing that really separates them, and with Voyager, you have these two crews that were once fighting each other now have to come together and work together to survive.
Yeah.
And I think it's great. I think it's great.
One thing that I liked about the show too is that the lower tier characters got more character.
Yeah.
Um, I'm trying to work out in my mind how to describe this. They weren't all perfect.
Right.
They clearly were flawed human beings, and as such, you got to see more of their personality as they tried to grow up their theory. So yeah, that's why I love it, and I think it is unquestionably the second greatest Star Trek show of all time.
Yeah. My number 2 is Next Gen. And I love Next
Number
Gen.
1, man.
I grew up watching the reruns.
See, that's your problem.
What?
Growing up watching reruns instead of seeing it firsthand.
Well, it was the first one I saw.
Yeah.
So for me, that was Star Trek. For a long time. But man, I love it. You know, Patrick Stewart is amazing. One of the things I like about Next Gen is that the original series kind of feels like it is like an older crew, like it's in the past before a lot of the rules and regulations were made. And you can kind of feel like Kirk is probably the reason some of the rules and regulations were made.
Right.
And then, like, as soon as Picard shows up on the scene, like, there's no doubt who's captain. You know who's in charge, and he's the man. And there's like an order to how things are done, and it really feels like a military vessel.
Yeah, when he says "make it so," you
Right.
you really want to make it so.
And so, that they're able to do a lot more. It looks nicer. It looks more advanced, and all the characters are amazing. And it's just there's a bigger cast. They're all able to go into all of their intricacies and storylines that the original series never could do, and of course the graphics were better by then too. Man, it's just a better show, or it's just a great show all around. So I'll talk about why it's number 2 in a little bit, but
All right.
but I really
So
love it.
my number 1 is Next Gen, and
Obviously mine is the original series.
Yeah. So you have so many cool interplays. You have the bromance between Geordi and Data. Data? No, Data. Come on, folks. You know his name is Data.
I also, at the same time, while I was watching reruns of Next Gen, I was watching Reading Rainbow.
Oh, so your mind was blown all to smithereens.
Well, he was just everywhere as a kid for me.
The occasional rerun of Roots. Geordi LaForge is the man.
He's awesome.
Somebody bought a headband at work the other day, and I made a joke about that, and they're like, "I don't get it," and I'm like, "Get out of my store." I don't want to live in a world that doesn't know who Geordie LaForge is and why anybody would ever put a headband across their eyes. No, but I mean, you got Worf, the big, strong, angry guy. Which I grew up on the A Team, right? B.A. Baracus.
Right.
So Worf spoke to me in a way. Data's my favorite character, obviously. If you guys picked up on the trope there, with the original series, it was Spock. With DS9, it was Odo. With Voyager, it was Tuvok, and now with Next Gen, it's Data. Dude, they incorporated Sherlock Holmes on a regular basis. Like, there are enough episodes that deal with Sherlock Holmes. I really wish that they would just do a standalone disc of those episodes on the holodeck. You know what I mean? The holodeck. That junk was amazing. Flat out
great.
Amazing. I can't think of a single holodeck episode that I don't like.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I thought that, well, personally, I thought that they did a little too much with the holodeck. There were a few episodes where I was like, we're doing the holodeck again. I want to see what's out in space, not necessarily everything about the holodeck.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. There are like a handful of episodes that deal with the holodeck specifically that stand out in my mind.
Yeah. Well, some of Q's episodes are in the holodeck, or at least one of them.
That's why they stand out in my mind.
Well, and that was one of the great things about Next Gen was Q.
Yes, thank you.
He's so good. He's so good. Another Stargate villain that I grew to hate and then fell in love with by watching Next Gen.
And the best part about Q is that they come out of the gate with him. He's in the first episode, and so are the Borg, which again are my favorite Star Trek villains of all time, because they're so menacing, right? Like the episode that had Hugh in it, which was a Borg that they did not destroy when he came aboard, and they were able to sort of communicate with him and pull him back from the brink a little bit. But just that, resistance is futile, prepare to be assimilated. Like, the way they said it, like, as a small child, or a smaller child, that junk creeped me out. Like, it freaked me out. And to see the way that they were in the cube and just destroying everything in their path, you actually were afraid for the heroes. And when you have a villain that's larger than life and enough to make your heroes kind of shake in their boots, you're like, it's serious and about to go down. Yeah. And so that was always something. Q was always fun to me. And I love the relationship between Q and Picard. That's one of those excellent relationships that doesn't get as much props I think as it deserves.
Well, I love that with Picard and Q, they're very formal.
Yes.
Or at least Picard is. And, like, Q is just making fun of him left and right, but Picard is very straight and, like, no nonsense, I'm not going to do it. And then Q's, like, doing all these silly, goofy things, because he can. And
yeah, he strikes me as the Mr. Mxyzptlk of Trek. So if they ever do a live-action movie with Mr. Mxyzptlk, I think John Delancey, the guy who played Q, should totally get a crack at it.
That'd be hilarious.
Because he's worth the money, and we know he can do the job, right?
Right.
I love, number one, like Picard and Riker's relationship. Riker is, that dude has swagger.
Yeah.
And I loved the hints at romance between Picard and Dr. Crusher, and then Riker and Troy.
Right.
And I mentioned earlier that main characters on the show never died, and so for whoever in the comments might have mentioned Tasha Yar, in my mind she wasn't a main character. So when she died, And 30-year-old spoiler alert. Um, I was not as affected. Now, once I went back and watched the episodes again, with a little bit more clarity of her character and stuff, and I saw how it affected everyone else, then it registered with me. So I
Yeah.
want to say maybe I missed it the first time around, and I caught the rerun, and I'm like, I don't really know why everybody cares, but whatever. And then,
Yeah.
I got older and was like, oh, this, no, okay, that makes sense now.
Well, she was the main character in the first season.
Yes, I know, but that's what I'm saying though. Like, she was so on the periphery
Okay.
for me. Um,
Yeah.
Plus, when the show started, I was like 6 or 7, right?
Yeah.
So,
Most of the reruns.
admittedly, I wasn't. I was keeping up with the characters I thought looked cool. Like Worf had the big thing on his head,
Yeah.
and I'm like, that dude's awesome.
And Jordy had the
The
visor. So,
visor.
yeah.
Data had, his chalk white skin, his super strength. So, I was focusing on other things.
Sure.
I even like Wesley Crusher.
I love Wesley.
Some folks don't like him, but he's had something of a career renaissance in leaning into who he was, right?
Yeah.
Like, he showed up on this show called Leverage. If you guys hadn't seen that, it's worth checking
He
out.
showed
It's
up
kind of
on
like a
Leverage?
modern take on the A-Team. Do what?
I didn't know he was on there.
Only a couple episodes. He
Okay.
plays a character called Chaos. Have you seen that show?
I've only seen the first couple seasons.
Okay, he's sort of like a anti. Why can't I think of his last name? The hacker, Alec. Why can't I think of his last
It's
name?
been.
Hardigan.
I don't remember anything about. Well, I don't remember all the characters. It's been a while since I've seen it.
Hardison. He's an anti-Hardison because that's the guy's last name.
Okay.
Anyway, he was great on that, and then of course the Big Bang Theory, where he played himself, and he was sort of Shelton's nemesis.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just felt bigger and more important than the original series, and up to that point, I had only seen the original series and then the cartoon series based on the original
We didn't
series.
mention the cartoon series.
Yeah, so this
I've
is
never
honorable
seen it.
mentions.
So.
Anyway,
So the reason I love original trilogy or the original series more is I love the Kirk, Spock, and McCoy.
Bones.
I love their relationship, those three. Bones
Yeah.
is probably my favorite Star Trek character. I
Oh yeah, Bones.
I really love his character. But I feel like there's so much to be.
Dang it, Jonathan! I'm not a doctor.
There's so much I think to be drawn out of the relationship with Kirk and Spock. You have Kirk, who's a a manly man, and he's just very flamboyant, does whatever he wants, and over the top, which I think is hilarious.
Right.
I love Shatner. He's so funny. And and then you have the calm, cool Spock who is trying to be less human, even though he's half human. And
Right.
I think that dynamic is Star Trek. And a lot of those episodes are just so good. When you see the contrast between them, and I love all the series. But I just think it's really great to see those three, how they interact, and how that really shows us about like I said before, about the lessons about humanity, and like we've said, like each series has its own character. You have all your favorite characters.
Right.
in original it's Spock, and then you have Data, and then you have Odo, and then you have Tuvok, and I forget the girl's name in Enterprise, but
Yeah, I don't remember.
each generation you have a new character that's either trying to be human or trying not to be human, and I really think that's really cool. And of course, it all started with them, but really it's just because I love Kirk and Spock and McCoy, and those three are my favorite characters in Star Trek. So that's really why I like it. Obviously,
I mean, dude, you've got Scotty, you've
I
got
love Scotty. I'm giving her all she's got, Captain.
she can't take no more.
Oh, he's great.
She's
Oh,
got to
and
blow.
talk about swag like that. There's some great episodes with him getting drunk. It's great. And you got what's his name? George Takei's character.
Sulu.
Zulu. Yeah, I've got to open this back up. And Chekhov, both of them are great.
Yep.
And
Uhura.
Uhura's great. I think that's the best Uhura we've seen. Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
the girl did okay in the newer movies, but the old Uhura was awesome.
You watch yourself, you're gonna make the Marvel fans mad at you. That's Gamora, dude.
So yeah, I just love the original series more. Now I would say I like Picard. I think he's the best captain.
Yeah, hands down.
So I go original series, best series, Picard, best captain. How would you rank the captains?
Oh, Picard. I like Cisco, so I'd go Cisco.
Right.
Then Janeway and Kirk probably tied.
Yeah.
And it's been so long since I did Enterprise at all, I can't remember Bakula's captain name.
Yeah, I don't remember his name now. I saw it earlier, but yeah, I would be Picard, Kirk, Cisco, Janeway, and him.
Yeah. Some of my favorite Next Gen
close.
episodes.
The only one that's ahead is Picard. But,
yeah. Some of my favorite Next Gen episodes are revisiting the original series characters, like Spock or Scotty or
isn't Bones in the first episode of Next Gen?
I think so. And then of course, you know,
because he won't use the transporter. It's too good. It's too good.
And then you have the whole movie where Generations, where Picard and Kirk have to team up. So it's good stuff. You really see how important Spock is to the whole mythos, and how far-reaching his character really gets. And then, you know, it's very fitting that he was the one in the new series of movies that sort of led to that parallel universe or whatever, in going back in time, which we won't get into the movies, but
Alright, so real quick to finish off, favorite episodes from each one. I don't have one in Enterprise, but from the other four, favorite episode.
Let's see. Okay, so I really love the finale of Voyager.
Okay.
Because I thought it was just so well done. Deep Space Nine.
My favorite for Voyager is Tuvok. When Neelix and Tuvok get combined.
Did you say Tupac?
I almost did. I stopped myself. Tuvok.
I ain't mad at you.
We have a friend who's always talking about how Tupac is still alive, so that's the only reason I know that name. But Tulix, that's my favorite episode of Voyager. Right. I love that.
let's see. So we did Voyager, Deep Space Nine. I'd probably say my favorite would be the pilot,
Yeah.
um, because it was just so in my mind it formative in my getting to stay up and all that,
Yeah.
and how unique it was in comparison to Next Gen.
There's an episode of Deep Space Nine. I don't remember much about it because it's been a long time since I've seen that series. Where I think like either they um, get bombed or like get under attack and like half of it's destroyed or something, and like they're just
Yeah, that
trying
sounds right.
to like recover. I think that
Right.
that's one that stuck out to me because it really delved with what's her name. Um, oh, I don't remember her name.
Kira.
Kira, yeah, really dealt with her character and overcoming bias against uh, the Cardassians. And then like when they had that Cardassian that was good, and you know that's one of my favorites too.
As far as Next Gen goes, let's see.
My favorite's the one where Q becomes human,
Okay.
and you have
Okay.
um, Sean's dad from Psych as the other Q. That's
His name is Corbin Burnson.
right.
I
I
love
love that
the
episode.
finale,
Yeah.
because if I remember correctly, it involves time travel, and
Oh
so
yeah, that's good though.
Q is messing with Picard in like three different um, time periods,
Yeah.
um, and so I just love that. I also dug the two-parter with I think it was Spock's dad, um, and he mind melded with Picard. Um, I thought that was good. Single episode, the one where they're trapped within the holodeck, within the holodeck, within the holodeck. I forget exactly how many layers there were,
Yeah.
but every time they thought they were out, they weren't.
And of course, you have the. Is it Deep Space Nine that had the classic where they go to Trouble with Tribbles, or is that Next Gen?
Yes, they revisit. That's Deep Space Nine. That's right. Yeah.
That's classic. That's a good movie.
So, Trouble with Tribbles is my OG classic, because I want to say that's where they introduced the earwigs that Khan uses in The Wrath of Khan.
Yeah. Obviously, that's the best of the movies.
Right.
Wrath of
No
Khan.
question. But like the little earworm thing that mind controls people, that junk freaked me out as a kid.
Yeah.
Like it messed me up. Like I worried about worms getting in my ears and doing stuff to my brain because of that show.
Yeah.
So
I like the Trouble with Tribbles. There's one where they go into Captain Pike's history, and Spock's kind of central in that, if I remember correctly.
yeah,
I enjoyed that one.
that may have been the original pilot.
Maybe.
There's a couple episodes where they time travel back to like. There's one where they're visiting Mayberry, and I know it's just America, like it's just Earth, but it's actually Mayberry. Like they're visiting the set of the Andy Griffith Show
Yeah.
because it was all filmed in the same area. And then there's one where they go to a planet that's sort of run by Nazis, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I did like that about it. They weren't afraid to confront.
Now that's one thing I love about the original trilogy or original series is that Kirk like goes to every planet, and like
Right.
they're always getting in trouble, and you know they're always fighting their way out. It's great. I really enjoy that.
I mean, that's where the meme comes from, right? About the
red shirt.
red shirt.
I mean, it makes sense for Picard not to leave the bridge unless he needs to.
Right.
There's a good Next Gen episode where Picard goes on like this Indiana Jones treasure seeking quest. That one was fun. And
Yeah.
there's another one where I think maybe he gets trapped on this planet or something, and like he lives like a full life or for a
Oh
while.
yes, yes, I do. Yeah.
Um, that one's good. Um, and I was thinking there's a Voyager episode where it has a little bit of time travel where one team ends up going into beaming down into the past, and one beams down into the present, and they're on different sides of this explosion that happens, and they're
Huh.
trying to um, get the others back because they disappeared, and they don't know where they are. All they
Nice.
know is this explosion, and or something to that effect. I don't remember exactly how all that played. It has been a while since I've seen it, but that was a really
Sure.
cool episode. Um, so
Yeah. To be honest, other than Next Gen, and the original series, I haven't seen any reruns of the other ones. So all of this that we're doing is principally based on like original watches
yeah,
through of these series.
I've I, I've only watched through Next Gen once or twice, but I watched through Deep Space Nine and Voyager a few times because they were on Netflix for a long time.
Well, there you go.
I only
I don't
watched
have
Enterprise
Netflix. I'm too
once.
cheap for that.
I only watched Enterprise once. I watched the original series a couple times.
Yeah.
'Cause that was awesome. I need to watch
I
the
don't have
Next
the
Gen
money to
again.
afford Next Gen. There's 8 seasons and they want like 40,
Yeah,
$50 a season, and I can't afford that. So
crazy.
I buy the little sets that focus and get a swath of all the series. And did I mention I'm cheap?
But yeah, so
I
that's
love a
our.
good dollar comic, even at 75 cents.
So that's our thoughts on Star Trek, guys. Obviously, we could dive more into it, but let us know what you think. Do you like Star Trek? What do you think about the battle between Star Trek and Star Wars? I mean, obviously Star Wars is better, but I love Star Trek too.
I
um,
think there's room for both.
me too.
But for the longest time, I would have said Star Trek is better.
One's just a clear winner, and that's Star Wars. Um, anyways, let us know what you think. If you enjoyed the video, give us a like. If you're new here, go ahead and subscribe. We'd love for you to join the family. We do live streams every Monday night, and at least it's Monday somewhere, right?
That's right.
We try to get some other videos out here and there. And leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. Who's your favorite characters? Who's your favorite captains? Who's your favorite, or what's your favorite episodes? Which one's your favorite series and why? Let us know. Love to talk to you about it. But
Welcome to the family, and like, subscribe, follow us on Facebook where you can communicate more freely, um, that sort of thing. So,
right, it looks inactive, but if you comment on there, we'll see it.
and we'll respond.
That's right. But till next time, we'll catch you later. Peace.